Welcome to episode 112 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast.
How do you keep up with all this?
Because it says it on the previous podcast.
Okay, well, I guess you are responsible enough to look.
That, and I remember saying 111 last week.
That's awesome.
So, and then I realized that's a lot. I've been doing this for over 2 years.
You've been doing this for a long time, man.
We're really about a year and a half in, you and I are.
Yeah.
I feel bad because on the Pint Size podcast, we haven't put out an episode in like a week or two. And it'll get done when it gets done. I got this podcast in school, and that wouldn't get done.
You know what, though? We have 28 more wake-ups for school.
Yeah, I have way less before testing.
I do, too, and I'm trying not to think about that number.
Anyways, do you want to throw out our sponsors?
Sure. Our first sponsor is Lone Star Reptile Racks. If you are looking for high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herps Reptile Show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
If you want to get at a Herps Reptile Show, you better order early.
Yeah.
The last 3 shows you've had have been pretty good shows.
Yeah.
So if anybody's wanting to get a rack or a cage or anything, you better talk to him beforehand to make sure he has it there, or get there when they open on Saturday. Speaking of Herps Reptile shows, the next Herps Reptile show is Austin, Texas, April 23rd and 24th. That's this weekend. I will be there with sand boas and rainbow boas. So someone please come buy a rainbow boa so I can pay for my hotel.
And Robert will be there.
Robert will be there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet if I will be there.
You may be there.
You'll be there.
I may.
JT's
bad
not coming to that
dogs.
one. Is he? Is JT going to be there?
Yeah.
The Grants will be there.
Mm-hmm.
You can come see like all the 5 million people we talk about on this podcast.
I'm sure our friend Tracy will have all her cool rocks.
Oh, yeah. From
that stuff.
The Universal
awesome.
Rock
Universal
stuff
Rock
is
stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, Tracy has all the Universal Rock stuff at her booth.
I'm kind of glad we don't own our own home because
I think I'm going to talk with her when we, because we're going to build that reptile exhibit at my school. And I may talk to Tracy about trying to get some rocks for the cages that we build for those exhibits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they look really natural.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Small reptile zoo at my school in Texas.
So if you don't hit up Austin this weekend, though, there's not a Herp show again until the first weekend in June.
And that's in Lafayette.
And then the weekend after that, which is the 11th and 12th, is Conroe.
That's the Conroe. And then your weekend off?
And then we have a weekend off, which is Father's Day weekend. And then the weekend after that is Longview. I think like the 25th, 26th.
Hey, look at that.
You're
right.
And then after Longview, I am at camp, and I
I
have
don't think Longview's until June.
No, that is June.
June 25th,
okay.
26th.
Yeah, you're about to have a break. All of May.
Well, he has some other things on the.
No.
I was about to say
No break
he doesn't have a break. He just has a break from Herp shows.
That's true.
It'll
give you guys some time to get
what's
caught
going
up.
on in July because I'll be
Actually,
at camp.
we're doing pretty good. We've
That's
made
good.
a lot of headway lately.
July is the first half of July is pretty blank.
Oh,
Then we have
cool.
Slidell again in July. It feels like we just had Slidell. We weren't
So
there.
Slidell's after I get home from
That's July
camp.
23rd and 24th. So we get to go to that one.
Yeah.
Yes, we will be at that Slidell, which means I can eat at was it Joe's Italian restaurant?
Maybe we'll leave our kid here with your parents because I think they'll be here that weekend.
Oh, that works. They can go visit.
I mean, we all know they're coming to see her, not us.
They don't care about me.
So
Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's July 30th and 31st. I will not be there. That's forever away.
I'm not there either.
And then August 13th, 14th is Corpus Christi, and then Bryan College Station, August 20th and 21st. So that's the next handful of months. And then also our friends over at Wiregrass Exotics in Ozark, Alabama. Go give them a check out. There they are. Look, there they are right there. Tuned in while driving. Wiregrass Exotics. If you need feeders or if you want to go see rattlesnakes, they can tell you all about rattlesnakes because they just did some educational stuff with the rattlesnakes. Go check them out in Ozark, Alabama. I think that's it. Oh, our giveaway for this month. Go by and check out we've had very few people do this. I may end up extending it 2 months because it's just too nice to give away for only like 3 people. I feel bad for the 3 people, but if you can see behind me is the mandala. It's hard to see. I've got a picture online and the picture really doesn't do any justice, but it's the mandala with the chameleon. It's amazing. It's like a $250 value from our friends over at Crafty Gargoyle. All you have to do is go to our Facebook page and do a screenshot of our US ARC membership and you're in the drawing.
So if you're already a member, log in, take a picture where it says you've paid and you're a member and post that. That's all you got to do. We're not saying
you don't have to get a new one.
You don't have to rejoin or
you should when it runs out.
I mean, give them money. If you've got money, great job. But yeah, I have to renew mine, waiting for the next paycheck to hit. And then there we go. I'm going to renew mine because mine just came up.
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah. This month, I think next week, So I think I'll have like a week where I'm not going to be a member because I gotta wait for payday.
I think I'm good. But yeah, it's behind me on the wall and it'll be yours. It'll leave our room at some point.
So I'm going to apologize in advance if I cough my head off tonight.
I see your pile of cough drops over there.
I had the flu last week and I'm still not 100%. This cough, from what I understand, has been sticking around for several weeks with people that have had it.
No, John Feely, I know you know how to use the internet. You can leave a picture. You can do it.
John Feely, if you message it to me, I'll post it for you.
Yeah. If you message it to me, it's just going to get deleted probably.
That is true. I think that's it. You just had the show. Real quick, you just had the show at Temple. Great show for you. We just talked about 3 great shows in a row. Temple was a really good one. Easter weekend.
Slidell was okay. Beaumont was really good. Temple was really good.
Yeah. So
that was the last Beaumont and the last Temple ever, though.
Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Beaumont is going to go over to
Lake Charles.
We're going back to Lake Charles. So for those of you that are used to the Lafayette and Beaumont, this will be the last Lafayette, right? Or we'll finish up.
No,
another one.
They're not doing anything with Lafayette.
Oh, okay.
Stay on.
Well, Beaumont, travel on over to Lake Charles.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes.
Come on over. Check us out. Anyways, let's bring in our guest. So go ahead and click on our button here. I lost my mouse. There we go. Chris Dieter from Crocodile Encounters. How's it going, Chris?
I am good. How are you guys?
Good.
So I just got a text message from a friend of ours, and she goes, "Hey, have y'all gone to Crocodile Encounter yet? We were thinking about going next weekend." And I was like, "Funny story. That's who we have."
No, I'm not gone.
She was like, "Oh, let me log in." So she's gonna log in to listen.
Everyone keeps telling us we got to go. We're going to go.
We are.
As soon as we get a free week. Look, in May we have no reptile shows.
No, but we have other obligations. So don't just think you have the whole month of May free.
I feel like I don't.
You do. Mother's Day is that weekend.
That's not important. It's not my day.
I need big this year, I think.
Big? You know what's big? Crocodiles, a crocodile encounter.
Y'all can take me there and then buy me something nice. There we go. I'm 100% down for that.
So it's been Mother's Day at Crocodile.
As long as I don't have to do anying that day and y'all do it all for me.
Engagements and birthday parties and all kind of things.
I love it.
It would be great.
So I guess tell everybody where you're located. I mean, to us, it's like apparently 20 minutes down the road, and I should have gone there.
We're right off 288 between Angleton and, we're between Angleton and Roche Sharon. So about roughly 30 minutes from downtown Houston, give or take, on the freeway. So.
Yeah, and I live in Roche Sharon, so I could probably walk there before this podcast is over. So
you probably could.
What all besides crocodiles? I need crocodiles. I did look at your map, and it's quite large, but it looks like it's not that huge of an area, but you've got a lot going on there.
It's 25 acres. We're the largest crocodile facility in the United States. And,
that's awesome.
We keep 20 species of crocodile. I think it's 20 species right now. We rotate a lot because we do a lot with zoos throughout the country. So sometimes they're coming, sometimes they're going. And but there's 150 now crocodiles alone. So
holy crap.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. And so, we have Philippine, I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. We got Philippine Crocs, Chinese alligators, American alligators.
I cannot wrap my head around that many now crocodiles. That's a large.
I've only ever been around 2, so I can't.
And they tried to eat you every time they saw you.
only one of them. One of them was good.
Man.
Yeah, it's a lot. And we have different bloodlines of the Nile. So it's like, we have East Africans and South Africans.
So they've split them, right? In recent years, they're now multiple species, or at least subspecies.
No, they actually congealed them. The one that split is actually the West African, which is now Crocodilis suchus. So it stands alone, but all the rest of them are considered just Niloticus now. So.
Because I think when I first got into reptiles, there were like 23 species of crocodilians, and that is not where it's at now.
No, I think we're up to 27 or 28 or something like that. They split the dwarf crocodiles into 3, and they've done a lot of splitting and stuff like that on some of those, and it's constantly shifting around a little bit. I believe it's 27 now. So
that's what I thought. Yeah, I'm a lumper. I'm just like Niles are Niles and dwarfs are dwarfs.
Do you do education programs or hands-on with any of your Chinese?
The
alligators?
Not. They're here to see, and we feed them on tour and such like that. But most of those animals we reproduce, and they are part of the AZA's SSP program, and so they stay. Well, we have 4 buildings for crocodiles, and so the young and they're all mostly in there right now in successive years. Our one female is about to lay again. She lays on the same day every year.
Oh wow!
We're approaching that day, so yeah, it's
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's so weird that they lay constantly at the same time. But in the Nile season, if the Niles are going to lay, they'll lay within the next 5 to 6 weeks. So
we had a Chinese alligator at the zoo where we worked before we became teachers, and he was one of my favorites to do education programs.
Yeah,
but we only had the one, and he was older, so we would use him for programs.
I think we have 21 out here right now. And I think that's the number.
That's so exciting.
There's a lot.
I just want to come stare at Chinese alligators.
Yeah, we're totally gonna have to.
I love Chinese alligators.
We're gonna have to go soon.
Yeah, no, they're really neat. And like this morning, as example, we had all the schools were out here this morning, and because we're in field trip season.
Yes.
And so the schools are out here, and the Chinese alligators just barking back and forth at each other, bellowing. And so it's the first thing the kids hear when they come in. And the American alligators, it sounds like thunder off in the distance. They're answering the Chinese alligators. They just, it's really impressive. When you first walk up, that's all you're hearing is that. Because that's a great thing about crocodilians. They're just so vocal, so you get to hear the vocalizations all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So at the zoo, I worked with a handful. I worked with slender snouts, Niles, and dwarfs, American alligator, and Chinese alligator.
Yeah, we have Acrocordus. We have a pair of those. We have 8 Osteolaemus. We have a set of dwarf caiman. I'm not really sure how many. I think it's 4.
We had one dwarf caiman that ended up freezing to death because it was too stupid to get into the warm water.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very common thing. Yeah.
That was shortly after I started working there. I was like, came out one day and there it is, just sitting in the back of the thing. I'm like, there's a jacuzzi heater on the water. And it's just going to sit on the opposite side of the yard and freeze.
Yeah, they're bad. That's actually one of our largest challenges. And then we raise most of ours here. And if we raise them here, they do better. But if you bring in one from somewhere else, which we do frequently, you really have to watch them in that first winter. So
it's great to sit out there and freeze themselves to death, huh?
Yeah, what they do is they find a wallow, and the wallow during the day when the sun hits, it'll get warm. But it also is the first thing overnight to get cool. So then when it gets cold, then they sit there and they can't move. They're not smart. They're not, well, they are smart. They're very smart, but they just, in this particular case, they don't move to the warm water side of things. So
yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, it sucks.
I just remember going out there, looking back in the corner. I'm like, oh, it's sitting back there. And then I went back, it's still sitting back there. And then I went and touched it and like, it's not moving. Awesome.
Yeah, fighting the winter, and particularly 2 years ago, it's been quite a battle. Because we're primarily outdoors, and even though our buildings are basically we consider lifeboats for our tropical species, so we bring them inside in the wintertime, and we're talking some really big animals, like our Orinoco crocodiles are, 1,000-pound animals, and we bring them in. But we lost the power 2 years ago. That was quite an ordeal. So we didn't lose a single crocodile though. But
oh wow,
that's impressive.
Well, it was a lot of work, but
I imagine.
Not something I want to repeat again. But,
that's how I feel when our zoo had a big hurricane come through and we had to live at the zoo for like 3 days. I'm like, this is not something I want to do again.
No.
Yeah, the Crocs, they do great in hurricanes because it's warm. They just go down in the water, they ride it out. It's no big deal. It's these winters that are where the real issues come in and everything like that. So
Orinoco's, I'd like to see those. Victor in our chat says he likes Orinoco's. The coolest ones I've seen are the ones at the Dallas Aquarium.
Yeah, ours are part of those.
Oh, awesome.
So like that, they're the head of the program. And so what they've done, and that was like the origination of the program, Louis Ziegler and his 2 that he had there. And they bred them and they spread them out. And then Brownsville brought in a pair from Canada that a guy kept basically in his garage up there for years, and he had passed away. And then so they brought those down to Brownsville, and they've started to reproduce them. And so now we are raising a set here. I believe it's 4 or so animals out there, maybe 5, that are now a part of that program is going to be released into Colombia next year. So this is going to be a release
Wow.
Orinoco crocodiles were born in America. And so we keep them separated, and we don't do a lot of hand feeding with anything with them. And just so that when they're released, they're not going to be habituated to humans or anything like that.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, it's a great program. It's pretty exciting. And that should be next year that they get released. So
I know we lost at our zoo. Well, I say lost, they're still alive, but our Andean condors went to San Francisco, I think.
I don't know. They got replaced with the crappy one.
Well, the reason they went is because of the bloodlines that they needed to be able to produce offspring to go back into the wild. And being from the education side of the zoo, I knew everything that went on with the birds. So I can only imagine that it's very similar for crocodilians that are going to be re-released. You know, you mentioned, not being used to people and things like that.
Yeah, because like worst case scenario is like you first of all, you want to send animals back, of course, that are healthy and are not related. And then you want to also make sure that you're sending animals back that are not used to running at a person for their food. Even though they're going to be released in a fairly remote area, it's just things you need to do to make sure the animals are properly releasable specimens.
Yeah, you don't want those ones that are used to seeing the silver bucket and knowing that there's food inside the silver bucket.
Right.
Yeah, or because then the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to shoot it, and then all that work that just went into raising it and putting it down there, and all that expense and everything is just up in smoke pretty quick. So.
I couldn't believe the first time I went to the aquarium in Dallas that just those massive Orinoco's were inside the aquarium.
He's big. He's really, really big.
They are huge. Victor also said like Gharials. Gharials are cool. I never got a chance. I worked with Slender Style. I never worked with Gharials though, but they get big. Like I know that they can get huge.
They do, and they're fairly cold tolerant. We're doing Tomistoma right now, which is a similar, structured animal. It's not exactly like the Gharial. The Gharial is, even more slender snouted as the Gar on the end, and there's just not a lot of those right now in the country. And eventually, maybe we'll work with those. You never know exactly how the road will unfold, but it's an interesting species for sure. So
it's Texas. I didn't realize how much y'all had there, so that's awesome. But to think that y'all are here, and then you've got the Crocodilians and the Reptile House at Fort Worth Zoo, and then you've got the Dallas Aquarium, all in one state. Those are pretty amazing reptile collections inside of zoos that are being worked with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a pretty decent number of I would say good sized crocodilians in Texas. Everybody always thinks Florida for crocodilians, and rightfully so. I mean, there are probably more keepers there than in Texas as a general rule, but we hold our own. So for sure.
Everybody thinks big cats when they think Texas.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so many big cats in Texas.
And hoof stock. There's a lot of hoof stock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you could just feed the hoof stock to the crocodiles.
I just had a guy message me just now. He's got 2 broken horn oryx that he needs. Hey man, you want to come shoot one of these?
That's a crazy concept of just like, hey, there's this African hoof stock in my yard. Can you come shoot this thing?
Yeah,
well, we keep African hoof stock also. We have eland, waterbuck, and bison. But
oh wow,
yeah.
Well, the scimitar horn oryx is basically extinct in its native range.
Yeah,
but we have them in Texas, and we still hunt them.
Large numbers in Texas. Those Texas hunting ranches have bred them fantastically. They've really done a great job out there with that species.
Yes, they have.
That's another thing I think is very, very interesting. The private sector, when it comes to breeding things, can sometimes do a much better job than a zoo could.
You're going to get me on my soapbox. We do a much better job than what the zoos do.
I was trying to be politically correct since you work with AZA, and I was
I'll tell you, I'm not very politically correct, and I can tell you the story. And it's not really that they don't do a good job; they do a nice job, but they're very constrained by a lot of times simple space, and it's really hard to give some animals a breedable situation, particularly crocodilian as an example, when they live on concrete or have a bazillion people around them all the time. And we have a bazillion people come through here, but we shut it down about 1 or 2 o'clock every day, except for the exception of Saturday. We try to give the animals, so we kind of run part sanctuary on some level, and it's been really effective. And also the other thing about zoos is zoo collections are pretty much only as good as whatever their keepers' passions are. And so and you know this having been in the zoo world yourself. I mean, it's kind of a cosmopolitan collection. Whereas here, we're a niche facility, and even though we keep the hoof stock and stuff, they're more of a space filler. You know, we're pretty much Crocs all the time, and so it's a passion project to a large degree, and that's why when you come out here, it's just, you know, it's pretty much overkill. I mean, we have now crocodile enclosures as long as football fields, and it's just kind of over. And that's in a zoo. You may have one person that might like crocodilians, and you might have 4 people that love snakes or something like that. You know, so it just depends. You know, there's a lot of factors there.
Well, and turnover is a big thing. So like I've interviewed at several zoos, and so I've gone behind the scenes at several and just visited. And so like I've gone to Nashville. So if you go behind the scenes in Nashville, they have they do a whole project with hellbenders. Mm-hmm. But if the people that are interested in hellbenders end up getting a job at another zoo later on, that program will eventually go away. Right. So a lot of these places that have these passion programs is because a curator or whatever, and that was like, I really like this animal. And that curator gets a job somewhere else and that program goes away. But whereas you have your own place, you're going to be doing what you do for years. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And, you know, that's exactly. And the reason we're doing it is because I did it. We do it professionally now, but I was doing it, you know, well before then as a hobbyist. And, you know, we were breeding water monitors and black-throated monitors way before it became cool. Because back in the 90s, you know, I was writing for Reptile and Amphibian Hobbyists and what have you back then. And, you know, we were breeding these things. And when we bred the water monitors, and this is a very distinct memory of mine. We actually had a business called Salvatore Farm. And so we're breeding the water monitors. Nobody else is breeding the water monitors. You know, Frank Reedus is out in Arizona. He's breeding the Acrocordus, you know, all the Australian monitors that he had out there. And he's selling those. And Rob Faust here in Houston was breeding now monitors, and he was doing some white throats and stuff like that. And Rob's, you know, he's been one of my best friends for like 25 years. But back in the day, for us dinosaurs that were doing this stuff, you could not sell those animals because the imports were coming in so cheap, and people had not caught on to the captive bred concept of being like a superior animal. So I'm breeding these water monitors, and honestly, we would put them on like king snake to sell them. We put them at like $300 or something like that, which at the time a water monitor was probably like $75 to $100. And and like people go, I'm not gonna pay $300, so I can just go over here and get that. But now it blows my mind that you go on there and they're sitting there $1,000.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's crazy.
You get those black dragons, and they're insane.
We were too far ahead, but we were probably too far ahead. You know, so.
Well, that's what I've said has been the problem with a lot of stuff. As much as importing has its place and it's very good as far as bloodlines, it helps with this or that, it really has ruined, I think, some of the hobby, or at least hindered some of the hobby. So like Savannah monitors are always my number one go-to on that. Like Savannah monitors don't get bred really much in the hobby, but why should they when you could buy a $20 baby from an import? Mm-hmm. Which means we don't really farther our hobby in the propagation of that species, because I mean, if all the time it would take to finally get to breed those, the same issue you had, someone's going to want to charge $800 to $1,000 for something that costs somebody $20.
Mm-hmm. Right. The only difference I would say to that now is that more people really do want the captive bred animal, and they're more willing to pay for it, because you can still get a water monitor for pretty cheap as an import, but the people who are breeding them have no problem moving them, you know? So because it's a big difference in temperament and quality of the animal. And so, like I said, I think we were just a little bit early, and I think now it's just a whole lot better. But we have kicked it back up, though. We are starting to breed monitors again, and we have a group of black throats, and you know, because my boys are young and they like it, and so we actually started another business, and we'll start doing. I think I want to start doing a few hobbyist type shows, you know, just for them. So.
You can come to the herp shows.
Yeah, I think eventually we will. I mean, we're focusing on just a few species right now. We're just we're doing black throats, we're doing rhino iguanas. We just started doing blue tails. That's mostly a passion project there. Nobody's ever bred those, and
I owned one and it hated me.
Yeah.
Fucking hated me.
What was it?
A blue tail monitor.
Oh.
I think it did not like the fact that I put it on a harness, because it was the only way I could keep it from getting fucking away from me.
It hated.
Because I was like, I want to take it outside and let it get some sunlight. But if I take it outside and let it get some sunlight without a harness, it's fucking gone.
Hated the harness.
It would climb up and down the walls of my house.
Well, the walls that it would climb, though, the cage was in a lower room that had
was
been
a closed-in back porch.
Closed-in back porch.
So the interior wall was an exterior
interior
wall.
Was the outside brick, and it was very textured, and it loved to climb.
Can they fucking climb?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jeez, they can run straight across a wall. Like there's no fucking. You just got to like try and wait till it's tired.
Pretty much.
Yeah. They go.
So speaking of the hobby, go to the other side. I get very worried when I see people buying crocodilians in the hobby. I think of them kind of the same way. Obviously not. Well, I guess they are as dangerous, but as hots, there's a certain person that those animals do make a great pet. There's a certain person that a caiman can make a great pet for somebody as far as they can set it up right and take care of it. But yeah, I would assume your opinion on the general public is that not everybody's meant to have a caiman or a Nile cross of some sort.
No.
I have seen a whole lot of caiman being sold at shows lately.
Lately, I know. They must have come in a whole bunch of months.
You see a bunch of them on our local Facebook group saying, I bought this and can't really take care of it. Does anybody want to buy it?
Because it's not a fucking lizard.
Right.
Yeah, that happens. Like, man, I could tell you a million stories about it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What happens around here a lot is alligators. People pluck alligators out of a ditch or something like that, and they'll keep it for a while. I mean, we literally about a year or so ago came back. My family and I were out to get something to eat, and there was a box sitting in front of our gate, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh man, somebody dropped a bunch." I thought maybe bearded dragons or something off. We could see the little heads hopping around there, and it was like 21 baby alligators.
Good Lord!
Yeah.
How the hell did they get them without mom coming and tearing them up?
I have no idea. They were in the box at our gate. That's all I can tell you. I mean, it's like literally. So therefore, we have all these alligators. They can't be released. So we literally go from, you just have 21 alligators, then you're going to have to raise because you can't really release them. They've already been fed and everything like that. They're all coming to us for food and everything like that. So like, here you go. So and when it comes to alligators in the state, there's only 3 ways you can really have them. You can have a farmer's permit, which of course is for hide use and such like that. You can have an educational display permit for teachers like yourselves want to keep one in a school setting.
We need to get more information on that, man.
Yeah. And so, or you can have a zoological permit, which is what we have in Houston Zoo and San Antonio Zoo and everybody else like that has. And so when you get these, they drop 21 alligators on you. The next day, I have to call the state. I have to say, hey, look, because the state sends you a permit. It says, say you can keep 50 alligators. Well, if somebody drops 21 on my porch, now I have to go to 71, and so you have to call, hey, look, this is what happened. And the state of Texas is really good about this. And, they really are very good at facilitating, the proper pathways. And so they do that. But still, you're responsible for those animals then for the rest of their lives, So, whatever you do with them, wherever you put them, it's got to be accounted for the next 100 years, So.
And people would bring us baby alligators at the zoo, and like this poor baby alligator. Like that poor baby alligator was probably 10 feet away from its mom, and you didn't get eaten. You're amazing. It's amazing you brought this thing in.
And while I was talking to you here, I'm getting a message from another zoo. They've collected 3 confiscations, and they're in really bad shape, and they wanted to, they need a little bit of help, and we do that a lot. We consult a lot of different facilities, trying to. Because on the upside of this, when you've dealt with as many animals as we have day to day, we've seen it all. I mean, whether it's conjunctivitis or you just see everything, So you become like this giant encyclopedia of real world experience to try to help some of these situations, whether the animal's stunted or or something like that. But to go back to your original point, there's some most people have no idea what they're getting when they're getting into a crocodilian. Even if you get a dwarf caiman, which is a relatively small crocodilian, it's still a really significantly dangerous animal.
Yeah.
And if you're getting an animal like a Nile crocodile, which, the reason we have 150 of them is we only send them to other facilities, so if they're going anywhere, they're going to go, like we have a zoo in Mexico right now, would like to have a group of 7. And we just send, I think, 5 of them out to another zoo. And then, so we move them around like that, but otherwise we don't ever send them out. You just can't send them to a private sector bird because that's an animal to me, I actually think is worse than a hot. The same with a saltwater crocodile, because the simple thing is if I get bit by a hot, there's anti-venoms, there's things like that you can do. If you're keeping a big crocodile, and a big crocodile gets a hold of you, I mean, it's a one-time experience if you're going in the water. I mean, there's no anti-venom for that kind of situation.
No.
Yeah, it just always amazes me to see people buying these, and they're not expensive. You know, it's the first time I went to a show and I saw Hots, and I saw that like you could buy a Gaboon Viper for $60, and then I realized, well, yeah, I mean, who's going to buy it? It's a small group of people, so the price can't be high. And the same thing happens with all these crocodilians. Is it's a small group of people that are going to be crazy enough to try and buy this and then keep it in a plastic tub under their bed.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a sweet spot for them. So the babies, you know, they get them, and they basically, it's really the only size you can truly sell them. And then once they hit, usually it's about 3 foot, and once they hit 3 foot, they just become, people don't want to change their water anymore because it's trying to kill them. People, you know, there's always jumping at me every time I go to feed it. Well, yeah, I say it's what's going to happen.
I had an adult female Nile jump. I had the pool drained. It was a 4.5 foot deep concrete pool. She was sitting up on the ledge, and I'm in there like raking the leaves at, and she's good for a while. And all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to go eat this guy. And she leaps straight out and drops 4.5 foot down onto the concrete. And I turned around and ran straight up the waterfall, and I was gone. And that was as clean as the pool was getting that day. Is fuck it. But that was enough for me to go, yeah. I mean, and then people are like, it kills me. I'm like, someone has this at their house. Like, I'm dealing with this thing in a zoo, but someone has this in their backyard and their neighbors have no clue. Hey, and they're just like keeping it in a plastic kiddie pool.
I know someone.
That's how it goes. The kiddie pool, man. That's a big one right there. Hey, but listen, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I live down here a bit. So I'm on his Facebook group for animal educators. This guy's a pretty responsible guy. And but anyway, he was using a Nile crocodile in, I think it was Maine. I'm not real sure. And it had gotten to the point he couldn't really deal with it anymore. And he has it in his basement in Maine. And so he puts on the group. He says, hey, I need to find a home for this crocodile. And so I just happened to see it. I said, hey, it's a Nile crocodile. I said, we got 100. You know, what's one more? And so I said, you know, we can help you. It's not a big deal. And I said, but you have to get it to me. I said, I'm in Pittsburgh. I said, you either have to ship it or you can go ahead and I'll take it back to Texas with me from where we're at. And so this is Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, that dude drove from Maine to Pittsburgh with that crocodile.
He said, fuck it, somebody wants it.
Wow.
So there he was, man. It was in the morning, and it was out there. And so we took it back. Anyway, the reason I say this story is that crocodile there, when we got it, it was 7 years old, maybe 4 feet.
Oh, wow.
I was out there with it today, and it's probably the worst crocodile out here in terms of attitude. And it's 11 feet, and it's a massive female. I mean, just truly massive.
It's a big female.
Yeah, she's really big. And, you know, but what happens is when they're raised individually like that is they literally, you know, they're a very social animal, particularly Nile crocodiles who are very gregarious with each other. And if you do not raise them with conspecifics and they don't have basically anybody to talk to, they become extremely antisocial. And, you know, and whenever that happens, that when they become antisocial like that, they're really hard to pair up later.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah, I just wish, I don't know. It's those people that are going to ruin it for everybody else. Like I keep telling Katie one day we're going to own a house with a swimming pool, but it won't be a swimming pool. It'll be
negative.
It'll be an alligator enclosure.
I can have my pool and then you can have your alligator enclosure.
Yeah. Well, learn to swim fast, I guess.
No.
But I've gotten her, if I could ever figure out how to get the money and the paperwork and do it, I've got her whittled down to I can have a Chinese alligator. She's agreed to it. But the problem is the paperwork and the money and everything else that goes with trying to have a Chinese alligator.
They don't get impossible. It big.
I don't even know, honestly, if you can get a Chinese alligator in the private sector. I've never seen one. I know there's a guy. I know there is somebody in Florida that has one. He must have got an offshoot from one of the programs. That's the only way I figure it. Either that's the only. I've never seen one in the private sector otherwise, you know.
I know, I don't know if they're
broken.
I don't know if they're counted as private sector or not, but Primitive Predators in Florida, who's opening up that big crocodile.
Oh yeah, Kyle, he's a really
Kyle, he's bred them. I know that.
Well, he's in the SSP.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Because aren't they one of those animals like China owns all of them, right? By law or whatever?
No, the program all runs. That's the Philippine Crocs. Yes.
Gotcha.
And we have a couple of those too, but the Bronx Zoo is the head of that program, and so that's I'm just reading this thing. Will Jones is saying
Yeah,
that Will's plucking alligators out of swamp over here. But yeah, but no, he's part of the SSP because I believe, is in that program with Kurt Herbstmeyer, who is also part of that program. So
I've been watching the videos that they've put out from Primitive Predators, and that's one of the best facilities I've seen built.
He has done a very nice job. Cal's very conscientious, and I don't know if you've paid attention to is he showing you the pied Nile crocodile?
Yes, that has been in a couple.
We brought those in for him, and because he wanted those, and they were initially offered to us, and I didn't want them, and I thought he would enjoy them over there. I thought it'd be a good project.
They would just get lost in your other 150 Nile crocodiles.
Well, we have a project that we brought out of Africa, and actually, this is a long story of it, but I won't give you boring with all the details of it. But like when you go to import an animal, they let you have so many. And so on the import permit that we had a set number of crocodiles that we needed to come in. Well, the crocodiles that we were bringing in for the genetics that we wanted, we only extra spots on our permit. And so they said, hey, would you be interested in this particular animal? And they are nice animals. And but at that time, it's just not a program we wanted to start because of the program that we already have. And so I offered him a cow, and he negotiated that out with them over there. And then he brought them in. So.
Yeah, it's
a good project. It's really exciting project too. So,
well, it's been interesting to watch how he's grown that from just some pins with some chain link fence to those giant pins he has now and the way they're built. And
he's done a nice job with it. There's no question, So,
do you have Cuban Crocs?
Yes.
See, those scare the crap out of me. I've never dealt with them. Just the fact that it's something that can gallop and run after you like that scares the ever loving crap out of me.
They are, for a lot of croc people, that's the Mercedes-Benz crocodiles right there. They want to go ahead and actually, hold on one second. My wife is talking to me. Hold on one. Okay. Yeah. So they're considered the Mercedes-Benz crocodiles. And we have 4 of them. We have 1.3. 2 of our females are pretty big.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
You're trying to figure out the numbers?
3 is 1 male, 3 female.
Good job. Look at you learning stuff.
Yeah.
He asked me like 2 weeks ago, do you know what the numbers are? I'm like, one of them's male, one of them's a female number. That's all I got.
Yeah, so they're out there, and we'll probably reproduce those, I would probably say 2 or 3 years from now. So.
Just every time I see a video of those things galloping across the stretch, I'm like, that's just not natural for a crocodile to be able to run like that.
They can really move. I mean, really move. I've seen a Nile crocodile full gallop there too, and that's pretty terrifying also. So
to have the space to be able to do that though is like, holy crap.
So do y'all have salties there?
Yeah, we have 3.
I mean, the first one I saw was the one at St. Augustine.
On our honeymoon?
On our honeymoon. That was on our honeymoon. I made her go to a reptile place for our honeymoon. And I was just like...
We planned our wedding around the Daytona Reptile Show.
That's true.
13 years ago. So, I mean...
We only got so much vacation time.
Obviously, I'm a keeper. Come on.
Absolutely.
But I just remember...
we have 3 males. One is about... They're a young group. They're about 10 and a half feet maybe, and the other one's 10 and a half. And
they're still itty bitty.
Like 8. They're babies.
I remember trying to explain the one at St. Augustine to people. I'm like, just imagine a bus with teeth. I'm like,
yeah, that's Maximo. We have 2 of his kids. So
really?
Yeah, they're from
it's insane to think they're that big. I kayak fish, and I somehow got into a group with an Australian group by accident at some point. I have no idea how. And I joined it. I guess I didn't realize it was Australian. And I was asking something. I was like, because people up north here always freak out when they're like, well, what do y'all do about alligators? I was like, well, you just fish. And they're like, well, I'd never fish if there's alligators. I was like, well, you never fucking fish. I don't know what to tell you. They're
right.
They're everywhere.
All over.
So I asked the Australians, like, what do y'all do about saltwater? Like, we don't really fish up north. I was like, okay, I get that. Because I couldn't imagine being in a kayak and then an 18-foot crocodile just isn't. I'd be done. I'm gone.
A man-eating 18-foot crocodile.
Yeah. I always tell people we got really lucky in the U.S. All of our stuff are kind of pussies. I mean,
yeah, they're not gentle. That's why I tell them the alligators and milk cow, the crocodile world, and so they're, you take liberties with them that you would not take with some of these other animals. So,
well, you think about in the South, okay, so cougars kind of a sissy when it comes to big cats. Black bears, kind of a sissy when it comes to bears. Alligators, kind of a sissy when it comes to crocodiles. We really got lucky. Like, and we don't have horribly dangerous like colubrids that are elapids that can, move faster than you. We don't have black mambas. We don't have taipans.
Yeah, we were herping in knee-deep grass in flip-flops a couple weeks ago in Slidell, and Russell turns around and looks at me and goes, just think if we had really bad snakes here. I was like, I wouldn't be fucking herping in flip-flops in knee-deep grass.
Just every time I see animals from other parts of the world, I'm like, that'd be a cool place to visit. But I'm really fucking glad I don't live there. Like spiders and ants that could kill you. I'm like, no, I'll take this shit. We're good. So that's what I tell people. Like alligators they're okay. You go fishing around alligators. They go down in the water. They wait till you pass and they come back up.
Yeah.
I can only imagine a 14-foot Nile crocodile. That's just going to eat you. That's like,
yes, they're definitely a different animal than the alligator day to day. But the Nile Crocs, they also get pretty, I don't want to use the word placid, but I think it's kind of the right word. They get very habituated to people, and they're not really nearly as bad. I actually consider the salty and the Philippine probably the two most temperamental crocodiles. They never seem to actually get too relaxed about anything. But I mean, I've had Niles that are I have Niles that are so calm right now that, when I'm weed whacking, I can weed whack at the silhouette around the animal and it won't even move, So
I know someone that has a very large Nile that will crawl in his lap.
Yeah, Russell Southard.
Okay, I wasn't going to put that out there, but all right.
Yeah.
Russell, who is having a girl, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, no.
I saw.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I figured you saw it, so I didn't tell you.
I did not see that. A girl human, not crocodile.
Right.
Yeah.
Girl human.
Human baby. Let's clarify that a little bit more.
Yeah. He and his wife are having a baby.
There we go.
Man, that was the longest description of they're having a baby. Anyways, you would think like salt waters at some point wouldn't be that way. Like, they always talk about like a guy who's really big tends to be a softie just because they've never really had to fight because they're that big and people leave them alone. You would think that a 17-foot crocodile after millions of years of evolution would be like, nah, I can be pretty laid back. Nothing's gonna mess with me.
They're the worst. They're temperamental. They're prissy. To me, they're not a strong animal. At least compared to other crocodiles, they're kind of wispy in the weather, as far as that goes, and they're just not. They're kind of a lot of hype, and deservedly so in some cases. But like when we go to when we train our crocodiles, we spend a lot of time making sure they do what we want them to do, for safety reasons. The Nile crocodile, he's just so bold, man. I mean, they'll stay right on the surface, come right over to. They don't care if you see them. They're like, dude, here I am, whatever, come feed me. But the salties will always dive, submerge, and lay underneath the water. There might be 4 inches of water, and he's there, and he thinks he's hit, and then boom, explosion every single time. You could have had him 100 years, the suckers still do it. It's just like, dude, we know. I mean, that's how they function. And if you watch Steve Irwin, even on like some of his old shows or some of the videos that go around, you'll see that they'll still come in under the water, and until they come out of the water, they sit there underneath that water. Wait, that's just their preferred mode of attack, and so it just makes them really interesting captives, in that regard. But it's great for a show croc though, because it's there. The audience doesn't always know that it's there, and just tapping the water, boom, and it's explosion. This crocodile comes exploding out of there, whereas the Nile is just like, dude, here I am. I mean,
even like when you watch any of the National Geographics of like wildebeest and shit crossing the river, the Niles are sitting on top of the wall. Like, you're just like, how do they not see this giant crocodile coming up to their face?
It makes it a whole lot more efficient to go ahead and keep them though, because you can just see them, which makes a huge difference, of course. So
I don't know if you can share any of these, but close calls, because I've had a couple, but I'm just as much time. I was wondering if there's any close calls that you could share, any good ones.
Oh, if you keep these kind of animals, you're gonna have close calls.
Definitely.
I mean, you try to limit them. I mean, we have a lot of safety. We work in teams and partners, and everything that we do. But I mean, even today, I mean, we were in there mowing with that big nasty female now that I was telling you about, and so the person who was in there with me, she's baiting the animal to get it. It hauls up and takes right off at her, and she goes and she had food for it, so it grabs the food and then it goes into the water, and I'm going ahead and then mowing in there and everything like that. But there's been a lot, but not nearly. I mean, these are day-to-day interactions. We have hundreds of interactions with them all the time, and as long as you follow a lot of your safety protocols, you're for the most part you're not going to have a lot of issues with them. But I remember years ago we had a big male, and we checked water temperatures, and I went out there to check the water temperature, and the valve where the thermometer was I don't know, a foot or so off where I had it, and so I reached down to get it, and I slid right down the bank. I mean, literally right in the water. And while I was in the water, so I'm in the water, and I look over, and this Nile croc, man, was like literally, I'm probably like a foot and a half, 2 foot. Literally, I'm looking at him right in the water.
No,
jeez.
Yeah,
that's where you see your life flash.
I mean, if you would have saw it, I mean, it would have just been like, boom! I got out of that water. I mean, I was just crazy, frantically getting out of the water, but he never moved. He just never moved. He was just like, whatever, dude, get out. And it was just,
like, I don't feel like it today. Try it tomorrow.
Yeah, but as a general rule, no, we really don't have very many close calls, which there's more, where they take a run here and there. But and our enclosures are so big. That's the other thing too that keeps us really safe is that I mean, when you have a football field worth of area to move around in, that you're really you can move and around and do that kind of stuff, and it's not really that dangerous. It's when you get in really tight spots where you wouldn't have any maneuverability that you'd have. Like as an example, when we mow these things, we mow with a tractor. It's not that's how big some of these enclosures are. I mean, there are smaller ones that we have to go in and do some weed whacking and touch up stuff with, but when you can take a tractor into your enclosure, it really keeps it's really you got a wide safety margin.
That was the problem. The zoo I worked with was a small zoo built inside of a city, so there wasn't much room to expand. So any cages were kind of small, and so all of our crocodile enclosures, for the most part, were fairly close quarters. And we had a huge American croc, which they named Bertha, and I should have questioned it while I worked there, but they found out later on when it died, it definitely wasn't Bertha. I was like, it always seemed way too big to be a Bertha. It was more of a Bert. But he would sit in the water. The problem was to drain the pool, you had to lean over the fence into the pool where the croc was sitting. And the yard, was not big. It was maybe, I don't know, 20 by 20, if that, probably not even that big. And this croc was easily 11 foot, 12 foot, and not the nicest. And so you'd have to lean over. So you'd have to kind of trick it, drain the water, and then like kind of spray him with a hose. And once you get on land, he's kind of like, all right, I'll leave you alone. But in the pool, which there's not a lot of room to move around in, it was very tricky to not get grabbed by him.
Yeah.
So yes,
Aaron here asked if we lost any weed whackers to the Crocs, and we have had them grab them. We haven't lost any to them, but every once in a while we get one. And there's so much personality difference in crocodiles. We've had one that we just recently moved to Gatorland. He literally hated weed whackers, and he was one that he would come up and grab them, and you had to really watch with him. But as a general rule, they really learn the routine really well, and they're smart animal. A lot of people don't realize how smart a crocodilian is in that you always hear these debates on my reptile's smart or my snake is smart, blah blah blah. But there's only one reptile group on the entire planet that has a cerebral cortex that's as developed as, like, say, a bird, and that's your crocodilian. And the reason for that is because the crocodilian and the bird are very closely related. And you guys probably know this, but the lizard and the snakes are closely related. Crocodilians are not very closely related to lizards at all. It's a totally distinct part of the tree, and it's almost avian, and that's why the crocodilian is so vocal. The crocodilians have the maternal care. The crocodilians make the nest. And so their intelligence level is far beyond any other reptile, which is part of the appeal of keeping the animal. But you can teach them an unbelievable array of things. And from stationing to, there's, names. They recognize keepers very, very well. There's crocodiles out here that key on certain individuals. I have what I call my own personal crocodiles. No one else is allowed to feed. So, we have those out here. And there's alligators that do the same. Like we have this one alligator I probably had for almost 20 years. His name's Sultan. He's just a massive alligator. But my primary person that works here with me, Jade Rio, she feeds him all the time. So I think I fed that alligator one time in the last 7 years. He just doesn't even bother to look at me anymore. And but if she goes in there, bam! I mean, it's a totally different animal,
Oh, yeah.
And so they're really, really intelligent animals, and because of that, when you build your protocols around that type of thinking, you end up with a pretty safe situation, So.
Yeah, I found with a lot of them, when you drain a pool, they go, "Oh, this is that normal time where they drain the pool, and I'm supposed to get out of the pool."
Yeah, they know. Yeah.
We had a big male alligator, Moise. He was awesome. I mean, it was. I say he's a puppy dog, but I fully understand he's a full-grown fucking alligator. But I mean, it was. You just be like, you drain the pool, he goes, lays up on the ground, and he doesn't care. And you call his name, he'll lift his head and look at you, and he was great. But he was also raised by our director from a baby. He's one of those, like, he was literally in a tub under his bed, and he raised him up from a baby to this massive.
He's the one your director swam with,
yeah.
Allegedly. His wife swears that it did not happen.
I know the man.
I don't know that I believe her.
I know the man, or knew the man, and I would not put it past him to jump in there and swim with it. He said the day that I was told, he said that the day that he gave him an enclosure, because it used to be in a shallow enclosure, the day that he gave Moise an enclosure big enough he could swim in, he would swim with them. And I fully believe he jumped in there and swam with that alligator. I saw that man around animals, and I've never met a human being that could do what he could do around animals.
No.
So
I know quite a few people actually have swam with various different crocodilians, and I mean, I don't do it.
I'm not. But it's not a risk I'm willing to take. But
Russell's one of those that just has this like sixth sense with animals.
It also takes a weird brain to go, no, this is cool.
Yeah.
It takes that ability to shut off the prey part of your brain.
Yeah.
Because I have that in my head. I'm like, oh no, this thing will fucking eat me. Like I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, there's a name for that. It's called stupidity.
Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, James is so far away from that when his kayak got stuck on a cypress knee, and he tried to call everyone he could think of to come and get him off of the cypress knee.
I wasn't jumping in the water
because he was not getting off the water to unstick his kayak.
Look,
he texted me and said, "This is my new residence. I will be living here until I am not stuck."
I will fish off.
I grew up in Halls Bayou,
and I'm like, dude, just get in the water and fix your kayak and then move on.
I grew up fishing and kneeboarding and wakeboarding in Halls Bayou, right down the road from here. And you'd be kneeboarding and you have to go around an alligator that would pop up.
Yes,
And they never.
I will fish all day with alligators, but I'm not getting in there. They're faster than me.
Now, we would see them like, maybe we should go a little farther down.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were tempting fate.
They don't scare me when I'm not in the water.
I was also a stupid teenager who wasn't scared of anything. So
surprised I don't have like extra toes in some of the places that we swam growing up.
That's not how genetics works.
Well,
you can't grow an extra toe.
Well,
that's not how it works.
Some of these places were questionable, man.
You got to be born with the extra toe.
Well,
quick genetics lesson. But man, so I lost my train of thought on that one. Start talking about toes.
The Facebook question.
Oh, the Facebook question. So
it was blowing up my phone today.
I asked a Facebook question today, and it got like
I was trying to listen to a podcast driving down the road, and I was like, all right, I give up.
It just kept going ding ding. Everyone got really excited about this one for some reason.
My students kept calling me, my phone was buzzing. I was like, I know, we're not paying attention to it. Let's go.
Let me pull it up, and then I'll read the question, and we'll go over some of these.
It was a great question, though.
It was, and I really want some of these things people talked about. If my computer, I need to buy a new computer. This thing's slow as hell.
I'll add it to the list
of things I need to buy. One, pay the government off for the first time we ever owe taxes.
Stupid government.
You move and enter a new tax bracket, and apparently the government wants money.
Don't have a whole lot taken out.
What the hell? I can't get this to load.
Would you like me to take care of it?
If you can get it to load on yours, mine will not load. It's a really good question, but I'm just staring at a blank screen, and I can't even click on buttons right now. I can pull it up on my phone. Are you almost there?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's enjoying this. Is really riveting podcast material.
All right.
Here, I'll read the question. I got it. Oh, nope. That's just me talking on the. My God, there's so much stuff on Facebook. Oh, there we go. Finally came up. All right. The question was.
I was about to say, it's right here.
It took half an hour. If you could have one reptile to set up in a zoo style enclosure with no restrictions, what would it be and why? And we
get to go first?
No, we're going to go last.
Ugh.
Because I guarantee.
But I want to go before you.
What? No. Why? No. You can go before me, but you can't go before the guests.
Okay,
or before all the listeners. So we'll go to the listeners' ones and then we'll talk. I mean, Chris already has some. He has.
There are 27 comments. This was posted how long ago?
Like midday.
Yeah. 9 hours ago, and we already have 27 comments. Insane.
A lot of them are really good.
They
I say a lot
are.
of them. They're all really good. Chris Hubley said crocodile monitors. They're gorgeous, but I'm really I need to touch person. So they changed it to Argentine black and white tegu so that they can actually touch it and tolerate it and handle it. Because crocodile monitors are not big fans of people at all.
Good to know.
But croc monitor would be cool.
Brendan Friesel said his reason was
Frisello.
he just wants it. And that's exactly the reason
So
behind mine.
Ashley Howdy said, I have to say water monitors or Chinese alligator. There's several on here that are Chinese alligator, and I agree with every single person. Chris actually gets to have them, so I don't like him right now. But Chinese alligator is definitely on my list. I love those things. But Ashley said she wants something more interactive and aquatic. Water monitors would be especially neat with climbing parts as well as a pond. A big water monitor enclosure would be cool. Like I said, we'll get to Chris's actual enclosures in a second. Scott Wright said Printy. Printies would be cool. That'd be a neat one to do.
What is that?
Printy, big Australia monitor. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, Rescuers Down Under?
Yeah.
That thing.
Cool.
Okay.
Tastes like shit, but you can eat, but you can live on it. Isn't that what he says in Crocodile Dundee?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just watched that like a week ago when I was sick. So
Nice.
Becca, that we had on last week, Becca Schultz said Chinese water dragons.
oh,
That's a good one.
That would be an interesting one. Joe Smith said probably a big male black-tail or yellowtail crebo. That'd be cool because they're big active snakes. Being able to see them move around, just like an indigo or something like that, would be really neat. Ryan Gossel said a breeding pair of Komodo dragons.
Yes.
You want Komodo dragons?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That would be so cool.
They're not number one on my list.
Oh.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
But the way you formed the question, the first thing that popped in my head was Komodos.
Chinese alligators, first thing popped in my head when I asked it. John Feely, who was in the chat earlier, said this was a cool one because I would like to see the actual behavior of these Dracos. Those are you don't know that they're flying lizards.
Oh, okay. Those
They're the
are
ones
cool.
when they stretch out, they get the little. So he's enamored with them. Definitely not something commonplace in the hobby, but many haven't even had much success keeping them. But how cool would it be to have a jungle setup to actually see them like gliding across some big setup?
that'd be awesome.
That'd be really neat. James Bergoli said marine iguanas.
That would be another cool one.
If you could set up marine iguanas, that would be really cool. I think Todd Sanders said red panda. No,
Yes!
not a reptile. Shush.
But they're so fluffy.
I think is Houston. They're going to have marine iguanas, aren't they?
And that new setup they're
And
doing.
the new, they may have some
I don't know.
in the Galapagos.
They're setting up the Galapagos exhibit.
I mean, if they're setting up a Galapagos exhibit, they're gonna have to have those. That's like
giant tortoises and iguanas.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be a cool one. Brittany Patchett said Cayman. No, I'll pass. I don't know. If I could have a broad snouted Cayman, broad snouted Caymans are kind of cool looking. Do y'all have any of those, Chris?
Yeah, but they're on loan.
We
have them in another zoo.
Where are they at? Can I ask?
Yeah, they're in Rob Carmichael's place up in Chicago.
Oh. Our zoo got them after I left, and I saw them once when I was visiting. I was like, that's a Cayman I like. Because I'm not a big fan of spectacled or dwarfs or any of that. But broad snouted they look more alligator-ish, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I don't know how they are behavior-wise, though. Are they assholes like the little Cayman are?
Yeah, they're all Cayman are kind of assholes.
That's always, I always see, like, whenever you go to like those pet stores, like in a mall or just a random strip mall, and they have that Cayman in a tank, like, here's a Cayman you can buy for $300. I'm like, that's a fucking asshole. Why do you want? That's a horrible pet.
You know, it always makes me laugh. I'm in some of these groups on Facebook, and honestly, I try not to stay in them too long because they're just so damn irritating. But so So you get on some of these. Yeah, I just can't take it for too long. And everybody wants to they get their dwarf caiman and they'll have these pictures of it and they'll say, look how calm my caiman is. I can rub him on his head and his eyes are closed and everything. And the entire time, all they're seeing is like literally stress and avoidance behavior from the animal. The animal basically is giving up. You know, they just think it's the greatest thing because it's not moving and trying to bite him or anything like that. But it's like literally just total stress on that animal. You know?
So that reminds me, I show a video every year about leeches because we're doing classification and there's a video about leeches. It's got Neil deGrasse Tyson and he's in this little swamp up in like Connecticut or something. And he's holding this leech. And at some point he's like petting it with his finger and this leech is curled up and he's petting it. And he goes, he likes me. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. You're fucking poking this leech and he's curled up in a ball trying to get away. Like he hates you. He does not love you right now.
Man, it's just so frustrating. So I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of trying to tell these folks anything. I mean, I've done it in the past, and it just ends up being that, there's a huge disconnect with a little bit of the generation. I don't want to sound like some old fuddy-duddy.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, get off. That's what me and Rob Powell, let's be honest. So get off my lawn, kid. And but yeah, just as an example of this, like the other day, we were talking about Savannah monitors here with my staff, one of our staff members. He's real young. He's like 18 or 19. Great kid. Keeps a lot of animals, does really good with it, great husbandry. And anyway, we're talking about Savannahs. And I told him, and, he feeds a bunch of rodents to him, which, generally they're better off on insects, and, such like that. And I was telling him this, and, and I just happen to have Daniel Bennett's book here. I don't know if you guys know who Daniel Bennett is, but he recently passed away. But he was the guy that really spent a lot of time in the field studying these Savannah monitors, and he writes this book on them. He's by far the world's foremost authority on the Savannah monitor. I mean, just like crazy knowledgeable. And so I told the kid, I said, hey, look, here's this book, you can learn a lot, you'll really learn really great stuff about, the Savannah monitor and how to care for it, what its ecology is like and everything like that. And he goes, no, it's okay. He says, I'll just watch a YouTube video.
I was just about to say, I guarantee he's going to say he'll watch a YouTube video.
I mean, I'm literally giving you the guy, this is a signed book from Daniel Bennett, the guy who literally wrote the book on Savannah monitor care and everything like that. No, we'll watch some guy off the YouTube, you know what I mean?
So some guy who's had his dwarf caiman for 3 months, and he's now an expert on dwarf caiman care, and the thing is still only like a foot long. But he knows how to keep it. He's an expert.
To answer your question, yes, there will be marine iguanas at the Houston Zoo when they open.
That'd be awesome. I've never seen marine iguanas.
So I actually found like the site plan for the whole new area they're opening, and it's going to be really cool.
I just like marine iguanas. Going back to this, Ish said Parenti also. Parenti's a big one. Our friend Megan said caiman lizards. Caiman lizards are on my list, but I don't have them for the same reason she doesn't have them. Because the setup for a caiman lizard to do it right is just
right.
Is complicated. It's not complicated, but it is very
those are pretty.
What's the word I'm looking for? Intricate. Involved, yeah.
Because it needs moving water and
it needs water, it needs land, it needs to like kind of lay over the water, it needs UV, it needs a true like aquarium, and it's
like a paludarium.
But I see people buy them at shows, and I'm like, that is not going to get what it needs. It's just not. And so that always bothers me. Megan also said Asian water monitors. Tony, I'm going to say his last name. Okay, I don't know what this is, and I feel bad, but Acrocordus chavanicus. I got nothing.
Hold on.
Are you going to look it up?
Yeah.
But that's what Tony wants. Whatever that is, hands down is what he said. No, don't know it. Drew Schultz, who we had on last week, said either false water cobras in a large walk-in enclosure, at least 20 by 30. That's a massive enclosure for false water cobras. Or Mertens monitors.
Really boring, man. Drew, that's boring.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to sit coiled up in a corner. I mean, don't get me wrong, they get big, but it's going to be big in a corner.
Drew's a really good guy. He's got a really cool place up there, man.
Another one who we're friends with and still haven't been there to see that.
I'll be there before you, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Really well. He's got he's got his mind in the right place. He's just he's a good guy.
Yeah, we had him on last week, and I need to make it up there.
Who am I looking for?
The Tony do over. I can't say on his last. There's a lot of R's in his last name.
Tony.
Our buddy Jason Brumman said Chinese alligators would be his first choice, but his second would be an American alligator. I love American alligators, and I think they would be great pets if they didn't get 10, 12 foot long.
You cannot beat the American alligator on virtually any level. And if you're like somebody in Africa, what's really interesting is my friends in Africa, they all want American alligators. Everybody over here, because here we're all chasing exotics and everything. So everything that's common to us is exotic to them. And the American alligator, because of its personality, it's so vocal, and they're so and a temperature tolerant. There's so much to like about them, man. I
remember watching Crocodile Hunter when Steve Irwin got his pair of them or two of them they got when I was a kid, and he was just so excited when he got American alligators. And you're like, you've got 15-foot saltwater crocodiles.
That's their native alligator, you know what I mean? So as far as they go, that's their alligator, So.
But I say that I never get bored like seeing alligators in the wild. Like I see like there's an alligator
every time. Like
an elephant trunk snake.
Oh, elephant. Is that what an elephant trunk snakes?
Yeah.
Those are okay. So that's what Acrocordus
cool
javanicus is.
They're very strange looking.
They are very strange. Is it the one? That's the one that looks like a penis.
I could see that.
It's like a lot of loose skin, like a very flaccid penis. I held one of the, not a penis, but I held one of those at Conroe one time, and it's a weird ass snake. If you've ever hold one, it's
because it just kind of
it doesn't feel right. There's no muscle tone. Like it's a weird snake.
It's also called a
penis snake,
Javian wart snake.
No one's ever called it that.
Is Drew still listening? Is he on it? Because he probably put one of them in his place too.
Oh, Drew.
Christian Barr said tiger rat snakes. He would like to have tiger rat snakes. Those are kind of cool until they try to come at your face.
I've been up to Drew's place, but it was before they were open. I delivered some rat racks that I built for him up there. Then Lucas has been there twice delivering stuff to him, but now he just comes and picks stuff up.
Yeah, I got to go up there and check it out. Will McReady, this is your hero, Katie, because he said hi to your reptile show because he knew your voice.
I know.
Said probably a black-headed.
I'm still reeling from that. Like
he said probably a black-headed bushmaster. They're one of my favorite venomous snakes, but not something that I have the space for currently, and I may lack the stones required to comfortably work with them. I mean, I can get that.
I don't blame you for that.
Bushmasters, they're not small.
Rick has them, and that's a very intimidating animal.
It's a lot of snake, and the face if you just look at the face on a bushmaster, it's
like I would in the room where they're at, and as soon as you walk in, every one of them like looks at you. You're like, man, that snake's got a lot going on. You could tell they're supposedly like laser accurate.
Really,
when they bite.
No, I'll pass. I'll take our goofy ass cottonmouths.
Yeah.
Again, this is where we got lucky. We have cottonmouths.
They can barely move on the road.
Yeah, they look stupid.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you my mouth. Don't mess with me.
Did you see the video going around of the guy that was like, oh, a water snake? And he reached out and bent, like out herping. And it turns around and bites him. He goes, oh, that was a cottonmouth.
I have not seen that.
And then he like messes with the snake for a few more minutes and is like, okay, I guess I should go to the hospital now.
So that's how you know our stuff is not that dangerous. Because there's so many other snakes in the world where like you're bitten, you're like, oh shit, I may not make it to the hospital in time. Okay, now I know why Victor in the chat said that his answer doesn't seem so cool. It kind of is, Victor, if it's set up this way. Victor said corn snakes with a barn style setup as an enclosure just to see how they interact with their environment. So a big barn style area with corn snakes.
Oh, that's a cool idea right there.
Well, yeah. And so our daughter got into corn snakes a couple years ago and very quickly realized that it was not what she envisioned. But she likes just the normal, regular corn snakes. Yeah. And you don't see those really anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like a 10 by 10 room set up like a barn with all the old timey like pitchforks and everything else that's hanging on the walls and rafters with some corn snakes and some like Texas rat snakes in there. Watch them hanging up in the
a great exhibit. And one thing I learned a while back and is when you operate a place like say Crocodile Encounter, you cannot think like a herper when you do this. And because I'll give you a perfect example is we used to do we still do a lot of type birthday party traveling type shows, at libraries and such like that. And so one day we used to take this huge 10, 11 foot Burmese python. Well, huge, they get a lot bigger, but this one was a fairly large snake. And so we never moved it when it was in shed. So it was in shed. And so I said, hey, God, what we're going to do? We don't have our big showstopper snake. So we have this black rat snake. It's probably like a 6 foot snake. So I said, okay, I'll take this thing. So we get there and I'm doing the show and I'm thinking, okay, here comes a snake. This is going to go over like a lead balloon. I got this little dingy 6 foot thing. They're going like, oh my God, this is like the largest snake I've ever seen in my life.
I've been there.
And the light just went on in my head. I'm going like, why am I carrying around this huge snake? Where's my black guy carrying this thing out when I could just be taking this rat snake and be done with it?
Yep.
And from that point on, we never used that big snake again. Literally 15 years later, and no one cares.
I bought a Brettles python for two reasons. One, I've always wanted a Brettles python. Two, I've done outreach programs and educational stuff before. I was like,
yeah, they've already started hitting me up wanting to know if we're going to be in Louisiana at all this summer. I'm like, no, probably not.
But I mean, like a Brettles gets 7, 8 foot. It's a decent sized one. And for most people, that's a huge snake.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
And it's bright red. I'm like, yeah,
this doesn't have the weight.
But
like
people,
they're not going to get like the girth on them like you.
That's what it's like with Rachel's Blue Beauties.
Yeah.
They're big enough to be impressive. They can have a little bit of attitude and they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're just, it's an awesome snake to introduce people to.
And there's so many other snakes that aren't 13-foot Burmese or retics that will impress the person who's never seen a snake and thinks that it's amazing, and impress the herper who has seen everything and still go, that's a really cool snake.
Yeah.
So, Victor, I don't think that idea is bad. A big corn snake enclosure set up like a barn would be really neat.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be I would do it. I mean, now that he said it, I might actually steal the idea.
We'll make a little sign on the bottom that says "Idea stolen from Victor."
I'm telling you, people would love it. I mean, I can just see how the kids would resonate with the public. I really do.
Well, I like seeing
the public like size to some degree, but they also really like color.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
Very much. Like if it's a colorful snake, I mean, it really. And like, so we do a lot of consulting and to various zoos around the country. And so like, if they're going to start a new facility, because we've been, reasonably successful here, people often will call us or email us and they'll say, hey, can you come and tell us where we're screwing up and improve how we function? And, when I go out there, that we were doing this one fellow wanted to open up a reptile park, and he was, I think he was in Utah or something like that. And his list of animals that he wanted, no, I mean, I'm like, I've been in reptiles my entire life. I mean, some of this shit, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. And then people just would not care. And because the big hitters here, believe it or not, are people love the American alligators. People love the Nile crocodiles. They do like saltwater crocodiles because they're on TV a lot. So people come here and ask, do you have salties? No one gives a shit about the Philippines, the Temistoma, unless you're a herper. The Chinese alligator, people go, there's two. I mean, that's general,
which is such a letdown. It's such a cool animal.
I love Chinese alligators, but we could run our whole business on American alligators and now crocodiles and be just fine. But like sulcata tortoises, big ones, people love. I love them. And we have Aldabras, they like them too. But the sulcata tortoise is because of its size. We have 40 of them or something, and people just love them, So.
And I bet you're like me. You've never bought a sulcata a single day in your entire life.
I think maybe 30 years ago. Since that time, no. And they just appear every year. Our sulcata, it grows a little bit every year, So
we moved here back last summer. My tortoises are still back at my house where my in-laws live in Louisiana, and they're in the backyard. And we were there this weekend, and my neighbor saw me, and her grandkid came over to the fence, and they're like, come on in, come play with them. My father-in-law said he was out there later on that afternoon, and some old people came up to the fence and where are the tortoises? And he's like, they've already gone to bed. It was 4 in the afternoon. By 4 o'clock, they're gone. They've gone back into their barn. They're done. He's like, they won't be out till tomorrow. But apparently people keep coming by our fence just to see the sulcatas. I'm like, it's 2 fucking sulcatas. I don't know. But it's it's kind of like you with that.
Turtle was popular with the public. I mean, anyway, we have a lot of turtles here, and we could almost be called turtle encounter. I mean, we got leopard tortoises, redfoot tortoises, Aldabras. We got the sulcatas. We got Florida soft shells, smooth soft shells, spiny soft shells. We have a huge group of Nile soft shells, which is really impressive. If you can actually see them, they hide so well. I mean, we got, what else we got? I mean, there's a bazillion. Hey, there's a bunch of river cooters, Raider slide. I mean, of course, you got Raider sliders. They get everybody and their brother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like those cicadas, it's kind of like you said with the black rat snake. I think we're kind of numb to it, but someone who never sees that, 100-pound tortoise is amazing to them, and I forget that until I show it to somebody, and you see that they are as amazed with it as you were when you first saw them as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're still, what's funny is like you were talking about the corn snake. I don't really ever lose. Sometimes some of these animals, I see them every day, and I'm just in awe of them. I mean, I guess I'm a true believer in a lot of these things. Like, I mean, I feed Nile crocodiles every single day of my life, and it literally never gets old. I mean, I'm probably we're off here. It never gets old. I mean, ever. And like the same thing with like you see a really good looking corn snake. I mean, it just never gets old, man. They're such a good looking animal, that when you see a really good one, I mean, it's just impressive, and it's, to me, that's just because they're a more common animal doesn't make them less than, but I think we all go through that phase, when you first get in it, you always want to get the rare stuff, which I think a lot of it has to do more with human ego than anything else. They're not necessarily any better looking or anything like that. I mean, the corn snake's popular and so beautiful because they're such a spectacular animal, and
I mean, I still get excited when I catch decays snakes on the ground.
Right.
Yeah, I think we get numb to it sometimes, and we got to be reminded that it's still a really cool animal.
Yeah. Sure.
So Travis Wyman said that a Brettles python, he would do a big Brettles python exhibit. That could be cool, I guess. I like Brettles. Michael Stringer said eyelash vipers. Some of those are cool. Our buddy Tracy said caiman lizards. Again, caiman lizards are great. This one was cool. So Brendan said sea crates, a full coral reef, like 15,000 or 1,500 gallon aquarium with sea crates.
That would be cool.
Our buddy Dallas Rua said Sri Lankan palm vipers or Russell. I do love Russell vipers. Like I remember seeing a picture of one in a book as a kid, and just that pattern was so perfect with the circles down its back when it was coiled up. I love Russell's vipers. And then Emma said, I don't know what this one is. Xenodermis.
I'll look it up.
It's a frog, I guess. I think it's a frog. That's why I don't know what it is, because it's a frog. It's got legs. I don't know. And it hops around, and it's wet. Robert, if you could have any setup, what would it be?
A big adamantius.
It's not a frog.
What is it?
It's a dragon snake.
Oh. Yeah.
A big enclosure, very naturalistic, with a big ass Eastern diamondback.
I do love Eastern diamondbacks. I love Eastern diamondbacks. I've never.
Like a lot. That's a really great animal.
Yeah, I want one. But we had a huge one at the zoo, and I mean, it was probably 6.5 foot and just like as big around as a 2-liter Coke bottle, and just awesome animal. But that is definitely something on my list I would love to have.
Yeah,
I did like the one exhibit we had at our zoo that I thought was really great when I first got there was our Gaboon Viper exhibit. What?
He yawned, and it made me yawn.
So our Gaboon Viper exhibit was set up like an African bush tent, and on the back you had a chalkboard where all these facts are written about Gaboon Vipers, and then the last fact is that the bite is fatal, but the fatal like wiggles off, like the guy got bit by it and died inside the tent.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was hilarious. And so it's a big open room with this big Gaboon Viper just hanging out on the floor, got loose inside the tent. First time I saw that, and then when I talked to my director, I realized I can just imagine my director sitting there going, "This will be hilarious," and that's how he drew that up. Was we're gonna pretend the snake killed somebody. So I did love that one. But I also love exhibits where it's multi-species, and I know in our hobby that's horrible. Don't cohab stuff. You're a horrible monster if you cohab things. But I hate to break it to people, zoos have been doing it for a long time, and it works if done correctly. But some like the snake ones, like if you did a barn with rat snakes and corn snakes, you could throw like a copperhead in there or something. It would kind of look kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I like multi-species exhibits as well, which is one other reason why caiman lizard exhibits are great, because you can do an aquarium and a lizard all at the same time. So So what are you building next, Chris? Now that we got you, what's the next exhibit you're going to build on all of your land? Counters.
I think we're kind of starting to max out over here on this side. We bought 75 acres across the street for the next phase. So
just giant hoof stock, more hoof stock.
More than likely, that's probably what it's going to be. We are thinking about moving our as the Chinese alligators mature. We're thinking about doing a Chinese alligator lagoon over there because
I would just sit there.
Well, we're at the brink. We're probably, I would say, 5 years out from Chinese alligator explosion, because we reproduce for female only for the most part, and so they'll be coming online over the next couple of years. The ones that we reproduced here, so we should have within 5 years about 20 active females. And
so what you're saying is if that a baby went missing, no one would really notice a baby going missing. That's what I'm hearing.
We're going to have a lot. And so we'll probably end up putting the kibosh on them at some point. Because like now, Crocs, we don't breed them anymore, at least for right now, because we may breed them again in a couple years. We have a T-positive albino now Crocodile project that we're kind of hush about. And we brought them in from Africa. And so there's 5 of them in the United States, and they're all 5 here. And so we have 3 males and 2 females. And so that'll probably be the next time we reproduce now Crocs. They're the most beautiful crocodile I've ever seen.
Do you have to be careful with them in sunlight?
No, that's the beautiful part about them. They're bright yellow. We also have leucistic alligators. We have albino alligator. And those you do have to be in sunlight. But the T-positive albinos, they're yellow. So they're really great.
It always cracked me up when everybody would see like a leucistic alligator. Someone would go, "These are super rare." I was like, not if you're the Audubon Zoo. They got a shit ton of them. Like at one point, they had a whole bunch of them.
There were 17, and now they're down to 11. They've started to die off.
I knew that they had a surplus of them, but you'd see like one on exhibit, or they'd loan them out to places. Because like before I got to our zoo, they had one on loan there.
Like the one that was at the Houston Zoo is the one that we have. So that one is here with us. And so,
oh, really?
Yeah. And so he's been with us for maybe 6 years now, as far as that goes. So, yeah, he's down here. Blanco, he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. And then we also have an albino alligator. He's got an interesting story. He was the first albino alligator ever found in Texas.
Oh, wow.
He was not born here. He was found on an East Texas ranch. And they were out collecting eggs for the alligator season, and he was in a nest with 2. There were 2 of them. One of them was found malformed, and then there was this one, and they sent it over here to us, and so we raised it up from a baby. So,
it used to be when you'd walk in the reptile house, that big enclosure right in the middle. I think it's got retics in it now.
Yeah.
Blanco was in there forever.
Oh, really?
Just big white alligator when you walk in.
Yeah, he spent, I think, 31 years up there, or 33 years, or something like that. So he was there for a while.
Yeah. He was kind of the face of the reptile house.
Very much so. But yeah, I remember the call when they called me, and I'm good friends with the curator up there. And so my kid, my youngest used to go up there. It's his favorite animal. So he used to always want to go up and see Blanco. So we would go to the zoo all the time to go see Blanco. And so he calls me and he says, "Hey," he says, "I got to ask you something." And we do a lot with Houston Zoo. Like if you go to the Houston Zoo, those alligators that are there, those are our alligators. They're on loan to them.
Oh, wow.
So, and we have alligators, Crocs, all, like I said, all across the country. But so anyway, he calls and he says, "Hey, do you know Blanco?" So I knew what he was going to. I told him, I said, "Listen, don't tell me that you want to send Blanco down here." I said, "That's the only reason my kid goes to the zoo." And he said, "Well," he says, "you can still come to the zoo and see elephants." And I was like, "Oh my God, they're actually going to say, hey, we're going to send Blanco down here." And so that's exactly what happened. So, and the first day he got down here, it was really funny because Blanco was in that really shallow pool for 3 decades.
Right.
Our pools are really deep. Some of our pools go down to 20 feet. And so, we believe in making these guys swim. You can't keep a crocodile out there. One of the reasons we built this the way we did is I really wanted to see. Most of the time when you go to the zoo, you see an alligator, crocodile be in the zoo. It'll flop in the water. It'll come up a little bit out of the water. They really can't do any appreciable swimming or digging. And they really need it for their well-being. And so we built these enclosures so they can swim. But anyway, I digress. But so he comes down here and we get Blanco, comes in out of the van and everything. So we unload him. We put him in his pond. and it's a natural earth pond. I think that pond was 9 foot at its depth, and I think on a slant that maybe was up to 3 foot on its shallow end. But he goes down the deep end, and I'm not joking. Blanco sinks like a rock. and so we're sitting there watching this, and the curator looks at me and he goes, I got to tell you, he says, if this alligator doesn't come back up, he said, my career is over. And he says, and yours won't be far behind. So what happened is we look about, I would say probably 5 or 10 minutes later, we're all super stressed about this, you know. I'd say like 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, and all of a sudden you just see this nose, and he's bobbing like a fishing bobber in the water.
Oh my God.
White fishing bobber just in the water. And then over the course of the next half hour, he starts to right himself, and he starts to like be balanced in the water like he was supposed to. And but it turns out, but the best part about it is though his muscle tone is improved so much, you know, from being. Yeah, so when they come down and we visit, because you know we do a lot with them, they just can't believe how good a shape he's in just from being able to swim. You know, I mean, it makes a huge difference to their physiology and everything. You know,
so there's an alligator farm in. I'm not a fan of alligator farms, but anyways, there's an alligator farm in Louisiana that we went to because it was like 40 minutes from my house. And we finally went to it one year when my parents were in town. And the one thing that bothered me the most was they had these pretty good sized 9-foot alligators in a fairly small area. They could get up on this little floating dock, and they were so fat that the fat in their tails was so much. Their back legs couldn't lay flat on the ground. Like
that's a really fat one, yeah.
I was like, the fat reserve was insane. I was like, stop feeding these things.
You know, captive crocodilians is a whole, and when they're younger, they can eat like, man, you can't feed a young one if it's hot, and you really can't feed them enough. They'll just put it into growth. You know, I mean, you're literally. They will eat as much as you give them, and they'll grow. But once they start hitting maturity and their growth slows, you really have to pull their food down to a degree, because otherwise they're not putting the energy into growth anymore, and it will just make them really, really fat, you know. So
I had never seen it that bad. And I was like, how? And I guess they don't care because they're feeding them because people want to watch them feed them, and it's
right.
But I'm like, it is so unhealthy. Like when their back legs can't touch the ground, they may be a little chunky.
Yeah.
Like here, you know, every day we run about 30 pounds of meat for the tours, and their primary diet here is Missouri crocodilian diet, and that is a very
biscuits.
The biscuits, and that's a very lean diet for them. It's nutritionally complete, and you know we really, I mean, our animals they're nice sized animals and all that, but it's very rare that we have a problem with obesity because you know we don't run a whole lot of fat foods through them, so.
Yeah, we rotated between horse meat, which always looks so good. I wish I could have actually cooked it and eaten it.
We used horse meat for a long time, and until one lady took offense to it, and that was, I just decided it wasn't worth it. And you know, usually we didn't even tell them. I don't even know. This is just one of those days. I guess it got out, and it just because we used to piggyback on the use of zoos order of horse meat.
Yeah.
Man, it was great stuff. I mean, it was really, really good stuff, and
super lean.
Super lean.
You can cut it into strips so it's easy to feed them, like toss it to them, and
it was great. And but we pulled back from it, so now we feed a lot of beef, pork, chicken, rats,
chicken, yeah.
Oh yeah, that kind of stuff. So
and
they get their own food too. The ponds are full of fish, and we saw one blast a raccoon the other day. It was, you know,
that's awesome.
So the zoo I worked at had peacocks and lions, an open air lion enclosure, and peacock flies into a lion enclosure one day, and someone comes up to me and goes, "Hey, there's a peacock in there." Okay,
not for long.
Are you gonna get it out? No. They're like, it's the lion's now. I was like, the lion had already killed it. They're like, the lion's got it. I was like, well, it's dead.
Yeah,
the lion's gonna keep it.
Yeah,
no coming back.
Gonna turn it into lion.
No coming back.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
That's the dumb peacock. The smart ones breed and don't fly into the fucking lion enclosure.
Well, this particular raccoon had gone in there. You know, I remember I told you that really big, mean female Nile crocodile, and so it had gone over in there. And so one of my staff members comes and said, "Hey, did you get some roadkill or something and give it to that crocodile?" And I said, "No." I said, "I didn't." I said, "I must have got one of the free roaming coons that are out here." And so everybody on tour that day got to see that crocodile raise that thing up and smash it against the wall.
I used to, so we had a big koi pond, but in our koi pond, we also had just big ass grass carp too. And because they're so stupid, you can just throw fish food to them and then throw a net over them and catch them. And so every now and then I'd go and catch a big grass carp and throw it in with like Nile Crocs. It's great in theory until they get a hold of it. And then they're just flinging fucking fish pieces everywhere. Like the head of a carp comes flying out of the enclosure. Like, I did not plan for that part.
That's why we make sure we try to do, basically fist size pieces of food. We don't give them anything very big at all.
Yeah. The bears were far easier to feed carp to. They just get it up and just eat it. The alligators and crocodiles are like, oh no, we're going to rip chunks off of it and in the process throw a fish head 30 feet out of the enclosure. So
yeah, they'll fling it far sometimes.
There's an alligator park or whatever in South Alabama. And they had a reptile show at one time, and I did it, and I felt so bad. I've told this story, but I think on here before. Some guys came from Texas, and they kept all their reptiles, these expensive ball pythons and boas and tortoises, in their Suburban overnight, and they left it running to keep it was cold, so they left the Suburban running to keep them warm in the car, and they'd come out and check them every now and then. Well, the thermostat in the Suburban broke and fried all the animals in their Suburban.
Ouch.
And so the next day they're at the alligator park, and the guy that owned the alligator park goes, look, if you want, you can feed them. And so they're chunking like leopard tortoises and ball pythons that cost like $5,000 and retics just in with the alligators to feed the alligators because they had killed everything. I was like, oh, that hurts.
I'm too picky. I don't want our guys. We go to Walmart every morning and get them fresh stuff.
But how do you combat the digging that they're going to do in their ponds?
We don't combat it at all. We encourage it.
Really?
Yeah, it's absolutely a really big part of their life. So what you do is you just make sure your perimeter fences are far enough back from the water, and then you don't have to worry about it. And when it does occur close to the edge of the water, we rebar it down and make them change directions. But under no circumstances do we want them to stop digging. Anybody who wants them to stop digging, at least in my viewpoint, has an incomplete facility, because it's a huge part of their natural cycle. Everything we do here, we want them to do, extremely natural. We don't want to take anything from them at all, whether that be swimming, digging, whatever the hell else they want to do. And so that's kind of our primary thought. So we work from that, and we have a lot of room. So because we have a lot of room, I can set these perimeter fences back, pretty far.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem. And some of these animals have massive dens. I mean, massive. I mean, these alligators and Nile Crocs, they can have dens. If we drain the pond, you could probably walk in them. Or at least stand up in some of them.
Wow.
So, but the number one digger of all is a Chinese alligator. There's not even anybody in their league. So they dig. It's almost like, have you ever seen what a naked mole rat does? The way they build multiple subterranean chambers.
Yeah.
Chinese alligators do that exact same thing.
That's crazy.
And, they'll go down. They'll have one chamber, then they'll move over to another chamber. It's really cool how they do it. I mean, they're a pain in the ass if you need to get them out of there. So, you don't. But but I mean, they go down in the winter sometimes, and I swear there's no animals in there. I'm going, oh my God, are they dead? And then all of a sudden, in the springtime, they just reappear. So it's really cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but digging is really important to them, though. It's really it reduces a lot of your problems when you allow them to dig. Also, the shape of the pond is really important. We don't do any ovals or anything like that. Ours are either L-shaped or V-shaped or U-shaped or something like that, just so you can have basically, if you get an argument with your spouse or something, you can go to another
break.
You just really eliminate a lot of your problems, and then they do the rest.
Yeah, it doesn't give them that ability to get a full head of steam and attack either.
Right, yeah.
Oh, so let's look at. We do this every week. Let's go ahead and look at some of the things that people posted over on our Facebook group. Talk about some of those. One was this giant ass sulfur water monitor the guy's owning. I don't know if you saw that picture.
I did not.
I mean, this thing is massive. It's got to be at least 7 foot. But Nathan and I posted that over on our Facebook group, not on the. But yeah, it's just crazy. And then Australia Reptile Park, Ryan posted this. They hatched some Komodo Dragons. Katie was super excited about that one.
They were so.
Your microphone's not on.
I turned my mic on so you couldn't hear me typing because I'm working on stuff for school. The Komodo dragon babies are so cute. I just can't.
I posted this video and it's from some it's in Asia and it's like a snapping turtle farm or something. I don't know, but they're chunking snake heads or whatever in with all of these snapping turtles and these glass tanks just lined up. And there's these big snake heads to feed the snapping turtles. Like that's one thing you can feed them.
Sure.
That I'm sure they have plenty of over there. Here's a Chinese alligator. Oh, that's right. This was the thing that Travis posted. It was a Chinese alligator from the Maryland Zoo. Anyways, they posted on Chinese. I'm watching that video. I haven't actually watched it because I'm horrible at this. We have this page and I never watch anything.
Travis also posted a video a couple hours ago of people doing yoga with snakes.
With snakes. I saw that one. Snake yoga.
So there was a library a couple years ago that did like relaxation therapy with snakes. And they had to put out another flyer because they also had another relaxation therapy without snakes. And people were showing up and they were pissed because the snakes weren't there. And that was the whole reason they were going to this like meditation thing. Was to hang out with snakes. So like the library had to come out. I'm gonna have to see if I can find that.
It's kind of like I always wanted to be on Fear Factor when they have the big box of snakes. And they're like, all right, whoever can last the longest. I'm like, all right, well, then we're going to be here for days, guys.
Right.
I win all the money.
Megan shared the video that was taken in Freeport the other day of the alligator
chasing the snake down,
chasing that snake down, that water snake down.
Yeah.
So I've seen that. I've had several of like personal friends that have shared it, which for you guys to have personal friends that share it, that's common. You're in all those groups. I'm not in, I think I'm in like 2 reptile groups. But like my friends are not reptile people on Facebook.
That alligator sees that water snake from across the canal and takes off for it.
And it gets it.
It gets it, which kills him. Like all the water snake would have had to do was just go down. Just go down.
Maybe.
Alligator grabbed him.
I saw one the other day too of a possum.
I love that video.
Possum was next to that pond and looked back at that little alligator. Was like, he's not going to do anything.
I can love that video.
Yeah, a little gator chased that freaking possum down.
That's the most Florida video I've ever seen.
Yes.
That fucking possum just, and then the possum's like, I'm gonna turn around and hold my ground. You should have kept running.
Yeah.
Should have kept running. That was not a big alligator. And he's like, nope, I got this, and just took it off and drowned it in the water.
Yep.
By far, those are great stories, but not the most interesting story of the week. Most interesting story.
I don't want to talk about this.
4 men held for raping a Bengal monitor lizard.
Yeah, I don't even how the logistics.
I don't understand the logistics.
I don't want to talk about it. It's weird.
I've tried to just hold a monitor and you get scratched to hell and back. These 4 guys fucked one.
I don't understand, and I don't want to understand.
Okay, so here's the best comment. The best comment.
Shit before
what?
I mean, monitors when they shit, it's bad.
But my thing is, did they work to a monitor? Did they fuck other things before they got to the monitor?
That I don't even.
So my favorite comment. My favorite comment was Jason Miloradovich. Not to mention, he said, not to mention finding 4 guys who all have the same perverse animal fetish to go with you. How do you even approach that with your friends? Yeah. So he says, so just think about it before you say no. But who wants to get together and bang lizards?
Jason. He was on here earlier.
Oh shit!
He told me we were bringing this up tonight when I was cooking dinner, and
it's popped up in several groups.
Kitchen. Just get out of my kitchen.
It's like several different articles about the same thing, and I'm just like, how? Not like, hey, why is definitely the first question. But the second question is how? Did the other 3 hold it down? And you had to. There's
entirely too much thought going
So the article says that they had video evidence of the axe on one of their phones. Another article I read, Jason Miloradovich wrote this. In addition to the videos of the men sexually abusing the monitor lizard, officials also found photos of various animals such as porcupines and deer on the men's phone.
So they did work their way to the monitor. There was an order.
A porcupine.
There was an order in which they would fuck, and monitor, I'm guessing, was the last one.
Well, it's when they got caught.
Guess where I don't know where they would have gone after monitor.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
This is too much.
That is fucking weird. Megan posted a video of our pictures of what was like a bull snake that's eating a hawk. I don't know how that started. I don't know whether the
Is that the one where the lady was like, "How do I save the bird?" And they're like, "No, the bird is done. Just leave it be."
That was a different one. That's where the lady thought that she didn't save the bird, but she wants to know next time in case a snake is trying to eat a kid, how she would stop.
Oh, that's right.
Because that's a segue from bird to kid.
There was a picture of a snake eating a bird, and the woman was upset that she didn't save this bird. So she wanted to know how to save a child in her neighborhood from being eaten by a snake.
Yeah, if a snake was trying to eat a child, how would she save the child? I don't know. Just pick up the snake. I don't know. Tell her. But then this one is a bull snake, like eating a hawk. So I'm wondering if the hawk grabbed the bull snake and then the bull snake grabbed the hawk, or if the hawk was maybe eating something on the ground, because a lot of times they'll catch like a pigeon. They'll sit there with it for a while, and then maybe the bull snake came along and grabbed the hawk. So obviously the bull snake's not going to be able to consume this hawk. It's a big fucking hawk. So it's just a super excited bull snake, I guess. You posted this one picture, Katie, of the video of the rat picking a frog out of a hole.
That thing messed with my mind.
Yeah.
Like the frog is
confused.
So confused.
This rat is digging a hole. Well, apparently the hole was already underneath the house because there was a toad in it. And this rat just reaches in, grabs the toad, chunks it off to the side, and then goes back to digging underneath the house.
Yeah.
And the toad's just sitting there like,
so fucking confused.
Just happened in my life. That is how I feel on a regular basis with my third grader.
It doesn't hop away. It doesn't move. It's trying to figure out what the fuck just grabbed me and what happened.
I think my favorite one this week is this little tortoise just beating this dude shoe to death.
I posted that one too.
Tortoises are assholes. I mean, Chris knows he's got sulcatas. They're dicks.
Yeah.
He said he has like 40 of them.
You know, Sean had to bring what's that big sulcata?
Carl
home because
he was beating up
Carl's.
No, he killed.
Yeah, he killed
a couple
one
of Carl's tortoises.
Sulcatas are dicks.
Yeah, well, they got that big.
Some do. Yeah, that and they'll stab each other with them. That is true. There was also the one that Megan posted. It was a guy who thought he had found a wild ball python.
Yeah.
Come to find, and he put it in a glass tank.
Picked it up by hand.
Picked it up, put it in a tank. And then when he showed somebody the picture, it was Cottonmouths. So someone came over and got it and removed it. But they're so similar. I could definitely see where you could confuse a ball python with a cottonmouth. They're such
it was
similar
in Florida. Let's be clear about that.
That is true.
Lord.
That is true. Meth will make you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I did find that speckled king snake this weekend at our house in Louisiana in the yard.
Yeah, I was hanging out in the living room, and all of a sudden James takes off, and then our kid takes off after him.
Because my father-in-law
out the window.
My father-in-law said he was out in the yard. He says, James, come out here. We have a snake issue. Well, nothing will get me moving faster than that.
Sure.
So I fucking took off, and I've never seen a king snake play dead, but it did. The dog had scared it, and it laid there with its head tucked under and had musk all over itself. It smelled fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Its vent was wide open. You could see it was definitely a male. And you could poke it and it was not moving, but I could see when you pick it up, its tongue's flicking and its eyes looking around. It's definitely good. And so I took it off and let it go, and it smelled so bad that by the time I let it on the ground, 20 of those big ass green flies were all over it.
I don't even know where they came from.
Thinking it was dead until it just went off on its merry way. But our
kid comes back in the house and she's like, "Quick, Daddy's really excited." I'm like, then it's obviously a speckled king snake. If he is this excited,
I was very excited.
I was like, it is not a garter snake.
I still have been excited.
I just had someone send me a photo. Is this a copperhead? And they got a rat snake holding it with a pair of shears by its head.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, well, no, it wasn't perfectly harmless rat snake.
I've seen several pictures lately this week on Facebook groups of dead non-venomous snakes.
It's that time of year, man.
Scott Borden posted a picture of
there's Robbie.
One of his scrub python. I think it's a scrub python. This bright yellow python. It fucking looks amazing. So I don't know if Scott's listening, but that python looks amazing. There was something else I wanted to talk about that I'd seen. Who posted? Fucking Nathan posted a picture of a fucking dwarf caiman with bunny ears. That can go away.
I almost deleted that and was like, that's a violation.
Why? It's cute.
It's not fucking cute. That's the moment where I wish that caiman would have bit that person. Just taking a finger off.
There was a video of somebody getting bit.
Was there? I missed it.
Maybe that was last week.
I missed that one. Oh, speaking of getting bit, I posted this one. It was a picture. Guy got bit by a snake, and to save himself from dying from the venom, chopped his finger off.
That's what I was thinking of. Just kidding.
Couple problems with that. One,
Chris's face. Chris is like, wait a minute.
One,
something does not come here.
The first problem with that is, one, it was not venomous, come to find out. And two, That's not how venom works. You can't just chop your. Someone's watched zombie movies too much and gone, if I chop my finger off, I won't die. He chopped it off like mid bone too, not even at the knuckle. What?
Okay,
go ahead. What?
So for our listeners out there that may not understand why chopping their finger off doesn't.
Because it's in your bloodstream.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it's venom injected into your bloodstream.
Listeners, I mean me. I don't understand.
It's injected, just like sucking it out doesn't do anything.
That all makes sense now.
Once it bit you, it's there.
Once you verbalized it, I got it.
But the great thing is he chopped his fucking finger off for a non-venomous snake. That's just
no going back.
a different level of stupid. And now he has a reminder of, oh yeah, don't be stupid. So that was our post this week. The big one I want to talk about was the raping of the Bengal monitor lizard.
Oh my god.
Maybe, you know what? Crocodile. That was the next one. I bet they were moving their way up to Crocodile.
Good luck.
And then they could just say, look, I wasn't fucking a crocodile. I was sexing a crocodile. And you have to do internally to see if it's male or female.
Let's wrap this up.
I remember the first time I sexed an alligator. It's a weird sensation.
Yeah.
It's very awkward.
We'll take your word for it.
Well, I mean, you have to be very intimate with the alligator.
Very
and
Right,
and when you feel it's a male, it's obvious it's a male.
Okay.
So those that don't know what it's like out there, no, I'm not gonna explain it. Just know that you had a stick finger inside of an orifice, and if you feel something poking back, it's not a girl. So,
okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, if we get a little lucky with snakes. We just pop a little henny penny out and go, oh, it's a male. You don't get to pop things out with alligators. All right. So Chris, if people want to come check out your amazing place, that we are going to check out in the very near future,
23 minutes from our house.
we should definitely have gone to check this out by now. I can't. We're coming we're off in 2 weekends.
On that Sunday, yes.
What do we have on Saturday?
I will not be here.
Oh, because you're going to Drew's place. You're going to the other place that I haven't. You're going to the other place I need to go to that I haven't been to. Oh, okay.
Yep.
You should not go to Drew's place before you come here. It's just.
But it's a brunch.
All brunch.
Are you going to have a brunch?
You know what? Fuck
all
it.
girls?
Robert and I may go on that
You're
Saturday.
right. I'm not going to have a brunch. You're right. You should go to Drew's place.
And they have a unicorn that I get to see.
It's a pony.
It's going to be so cute.
It's a pony with a horn.
Wait. Drew is putting horns on.
No. Becca is.
It's not Drew. It's
this
Becca.
Is Becca. I'm gonna save Drew. This is Becca's project, not Drew's project.
Drew, man, I was piping you up. I hope you're listening. You can't do unicorns, man.
So we're gonna go put a horn on an angry now crocodile and have unicorns.
Mermaids.
No. Goodness.
All right. So if they want to come visit Crocodile Encounters, what's the best website and all that stuff they can do?
Yeah, we're easy to find. It's crocodileencounter.com.
.com. Yeah, I went there today and realized that we need to go tomorrow. Let's go tomorrow. Let's just skip school.
What time do you close?
You're going to the Astros game tomorrow.
That's true. I am going to an Astros game tomorrow. That's true. And I have to be at school.
We're not talking to you right now.
Who? You?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's his fault.
Mm-hmm.
He only has one ticket.
I know, and he could have invited me, and he chose.
Didn't realize you would want to go.
Wait. Robert's options are invite you to the Astros game or me to the Astros game.
I'm not going to show up wearing a Braves
I was about to say she wouldn't have worn the Braves World Series shirt.
That is a dick move.
It's not a Braves World Series shirt.
Katie, why don't you go?
It's a Braves World Champion shirt.
Whatever. It's a dick move.
I did order it just for this game.
If you get beat up tomorrow night, I'm just letting it happen.
100%, and he deserves it all.
I'll make a deal. I will cheer for the Astros to beat the Angels because the only thing I know about the Angels was that it was a great movie when I was a kid and there were Angels in the outfield. That's it. I will cheer for the Astros to win because I feel bad because they lost the World Series.
Had it been any other team in the World Series, I would have been cheering for the Astros.
I probably would have to. Especially if it, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of excited to get to see Ohtani pitch tomorrow night, but
there you go.
I haven't been to an Astros game.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go to an Astros game. I've now been to Rockets games since I've been here, a couple of them. Those were my first NBA games. I will now be going to a baseball game And next year I'm going to an XFL football game when they bring the XFL football back over here. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that. So.
Oh my Lord.
All
if
right.
you need to get any form of a reptile rack, reach out to Lone Star lsreptileracks.com and take care of business. If you need to get a hold of us, James, what do they do?
The Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, or at gmail.com. And again, if you're going to get a rack from Robert, get your order in soon for a show because lately they've been going pretty quick. Austin is hopefully going to be a pretty good show. Come out and see us at Austin. That's at, I forget what that venue is because I haven't been to it.
It's called The Pack. The PAC. It's in Leander.
Yeah, it's that place.
Where your hotel is.
I hear it's nice. It's big.
It is.
Which is nice because the old one was not.
Load in, load out's kind of rough because there's only one door. It's just like the old venue. It's just one front door.
But it's not
but don't have to go over a 2-foot rail.
Yeah, it's not over a skate rink.
Right.
So we're good.
But other than that, it's a great venue.
Hang out with us just for a minute after we sign off. And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. It was good. It was a good time.
Awesome. So thanks everybody for listening. We will be back next week with someone. Don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Good night.